Israel has been celebrating its Independence Day, marking 78 years since the Jewish state was established. But as official ceremonies are held in Jerusalem, many Israelis are questioning what Independence Day means in a country fighting several wars and deeply divided over politics.
Israel is marking 78 years of independence after 2.5 years of war.
Especially this year, Independence Day is celebration, it's miraculous, it's safety, and it's an opportunity to take a deep breath after a really intense year.
An official torchlighting ceremony was held in Jerusalem, attended by special guests, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivering a pre-recorded message.
In shelters and hospitals, in moments of pain, in moments of joy, we have no other country and will not have another one. With God's help, we will complete the victory, strengthen our state and secure our future.
Many others used the moment to make their own political points, joining alternative independence events.
Many people in Israel feel that the official ceremony and that the government doesn't reflect their values anymore, and that our democracy is being eroded. And so these kinds of ceremonies help give hope for a lot of people that we can strengthen our democracy and really ensure that this remains a Jewish and democratic state in the future.
Reflecting on what it means to be Israeli now and the challenges this divided country now faces.
I think Israelis are incredibly concerned about the country, about its future, about the tenability of the Jewish democratic project. And I, in particular, but many other people are deeply worried about the moral crisis that Israel and Israeli Judaism has found itself in.
Middle East analyst Shani Rozanes joins me in the studio. Shani, let's talk about this moral crisis that Jeremy was talking about. How big a cloud is that casting over life in Israel right now?
Well, I think we're seeing a very somber celebrations. First of all, we need to mention this is, since October 7th, the last two celebrations before were under war, with so many hostages still kept in Gaza. So, and then, I think I'm bringing up October 7th because this is where we are. This is still the shadow that is over, that is cast over Israel and Israelis and their feeling, and it still shapes daily, everyday lives and also the inner dynamics in the society. And we still see, if you look at polls, you see still there's a very big divide when it comes to where the opposition stand, where the coalition stand. Netanyahu is still very much seen as a very divisive figure when he talks about, for half of the people, he's completely, there's the criticism is growing and growing, and for the other half, there's great support to him, and especially now after the war. We need to remember at the beginning of the war. There's many wars now, but I think the most recent one, when he talks about Iran and Lebanon, most Israelis were supporting the need to go for that attack. They were believing, again, talking about the effect of October 7th, that Israel needs to show the surroundings and the world that it's a strong country, that it's not willing to tolerate even the idea of rhetoric that is toxic, that is violent, that is threatening, that is basically calling for the demise of the state of Israel. Israel said, we're not going to tolerate that anymore. We see where it landed us on October 7th. So there was great support for that. But exactly for that, Israelis now find themselves this Independence Day, and there's a ceasefire, and they feel, okay, but what have we gained? Because de facto is that the need or the wish for better security is not fully answered. Israel's situation in Gaza is not resolved. With Lebanon, it is not resolved. With Iran, it is not resolved. And even Netanyahu himself, in a statement to the public last week, said, we are not done. We still have more work to do. So, and this is something tearing up the Israeli society about politics, about how to move on, about whether Netanyahu is good enough or not. These are some of the, this is the main line that divides Israeli society still. And we see it even in these celebrations, where we see also alternative celebrations, because Netanyahu has become seen by so many as such a divisive figure, that the idea of a uniting ceremony for itself has been brought into question.
That's the domestic situation. Internationally, where do you see the country 78 years after independence?
Well, I think it's a very good point. I think there's no doubt one thing is sure. Sometimes around these discussions, we're talking about Israel's right to exist or whatever. There is clear understanding. Israel is there. It's not going anywhere, and it has a place among the nations. However, when we're talking about de facto, what does it mean? On the one hand, Netanyahu managed to get great support from the Americans for many years, also from the recent president, from Trump. There's a great alliance working between Israel and the Americans, but at the same time, there's also people asking, have we taken this too far? Because what we have been seeing is that for the support of the Americans, we are paying in our sovereignty, we are paying in our independence, we are paying in the ability to decide on our fate, because the last ceasefires were basically forced in Israel by the American president. That's one thing. If you look at the European front, you see a lot of chilling effects happening there. Even Italy and Germany very much clearly distancing themselves from Israel. German chancellor was talking last week about the need of Israel to curb violent settler actions in the West Bank. The Italians are pulling away from military cooperations. We're not sure what the EU might bring on Israel now that the Hungarian veto is off the table with Orban being gone. So there's, Israel is in a very precarious, very somber also mode that you feel in these celebrations. And within that, we also need to remember that Israel is facing an election coming up soon. And all of this will be what will be, on the table. And we will see where the Israeli society chooses to head.
Shani Rozanes, it's always great to have you on the show. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.